Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we are talking week 13 of the NFL season. We are going to go over the quarterback start and sit video to help you guys kind of figure out who you should put in your lineup this week, or maybe you should bench. All teams are playing this week. We've got some great games for Turkey Week. We've got 3 games on Thursday, a game on Friday, and then, of course, you got your normal slate of games on Sunday and Monday. So no teams in a bye. Hopefully you guys survived Week 12. There were a lot of teams out there. And then, of course, now we're going to go into Week 14 after this. Again, a lot of bye weeks there to fulfill. So let's jump right into it. Now, like I mentioned, it is Turkey Week, so hopefully you guys are going to enjoy some great Thanksgiving with your family and friends while also enjoying some great games. Now, these are going to be quarterbacks that I believe should be in your lineup. These are your obvious starts. These guys are just either great matchups or they are going to put up a decent amount of points that will allow you to put in there without having to overthink it. Don't overthink your matchup sometimes. A lot of these guys just need to be in your lineup. Now, the first quarterback I actually really like this week is going to be C.J. Stroud versus the Jaguars. In their first matchup, Stroud was able to put up 23 fantasy points. He threw for over 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, that was Stroud's only 20-plus point performance so far this season. So, a little bit tough. Stroud has not played as well as he did last year. A lot of injuries he's had at the wide receiver position. A lot of concerns on the offensive line. So, there's a lot going on there. But why can't he repeat this, right? He's going against a Jaguars defense that is absolutely struggling. They don't really have anything to look forward to except for the number 1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. Jaguars are allowing 288 passing yards a game and almost 23 fantasy points. Again, Stroud has a great matchup. He's got Nico Collins, right? He's got Tank Dell, an amazing running back in Joe Mixon. He's been playing out of his mind. CJ Stroud should put up very similar, points that he did earlier this season. Another quarterback I really like this week is going to be Justin Herbert versus the Falcons. Now, Herbert didn't have an amazing game that I thought he was going to on Monday night against the Ravens. I think I overlooked it, between the two brothers of Harbaugh's. I think sometimes that played a factor. And, Herbert was okay. He still did 17 fantasy points. His rushing touchdown obviously helped save him. 17 points is nothing to laugh at. It's a good performance, but not what I thought he was going to have against Baltimore. But I do really like this matchup against the Falcons. The Falcons are a team that have absolutely struggled against the pass. They just allowed Bo Nix to look like Peyton Manning in week 11. Bo Nix had 4 touchdowns that game. Don't get me wrong, Bo Nix is playing out of his mind, but the Falcons are absolutely horrendous when it comes to stopping the pass. They're allowing an average of 2 passing touchdowns and 21 points a game. This is a great matchup for Justin Herbert this week. Again, he's going to be my lineup. Now, speaking of Bo Nix, I have Bo Nix versus the Browns this week on Monday night. Nix has played great the last 3 weeks, and he has the ability to show it on Monday night in front of the nation. So I really am excited for him. He's thrown 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the last 3 weeks. He's currently quarterback 7 so far this season, and he, again, faces a Browns team that has allowed an average of 20 points per game to the quarterback position. 230 passing yards as well, and at least allowing a passing touchdown. So the Browns do have some work to do. With that said, Nix's ability to also be a threat on the ground is something the Browns are going to have to deal with, and of course is a huge benefit as far as a player you're going to want to start this week. So again, Bo Nix should be in your lineup. Now, jumping into the sits, this one's a little bit tougher. There not a lot of immediate quarterbacks to sit. Some of these guys could probably still have decent games, but I'm not in love with it. Like Jameis Winston, I like, but I don't love his matchup against the Broncos. Denver's a tough matchup for the Browns this week. Broncos are only allowing 13 points per game, and they're keeping quarterbacks to only 210 passing yards. And Winston is coming off an average game in the snow, and unfortunately can be inconsistent. So with the inconsistency, with the lack of really superstars at the wide receiver position, an aging running back coming off of a serious injury, there's not a lot of threat against the Denver Broncos. And the Denver Broncos have been playing really well. And if you really take away Lamar Jackson's 23 points against the Broncos early this year, they're actually only allowing 11.9 points per game. So the matchup's tough. I do think Jameis is going to have to throw a lot because I do think the Broncos can get up ahead pretty quickly. So maybe you get some garbage time and Winston kind of salvages the week for you. But realistically, he's going to be on my bench. Another quarterback I'm going to bench this week if I can, Caleb Williams versus the Lions. Now, I talked up Caleb Williams, obviously, in my waiver wire video because I still think he's worth a grab. I'm not going to say he's going to start this week because realistically, this is a really tough matchup. Now, Caleb has done well the last couple games, but I really think on this Thanksgiving game, the first game of the Week 13 matchups, Detroit's going to come out and blow up the Chicago Bears. I think they're going to show the nation and the world that the Lions are the best team in the NFL. Like, that's what I think is going to show up on Thanksgiving. This is a great game between both games. I actually, probably one of my favorite matchups this week, just because it's the tradition. It's Turkey Day. It's, you've got the rivalry between the Bears and Lions. And realistically, the Lions defense, they've averaged an interception takeaway per game. They've only allowed 7 passing touchdowns so far this season. This is a really tough matchup for Caleb Williams. And the last quarterback I'm going to mention is a sit, Derek Carr versus the Rams. Part of it is the fact you're still not going to have Chris Olave. They're expecting him possibly back week 15. On top of that, the Rams defense actually has played fairly well. Like, they're okay. They're around the 12th spot when it comes defensively against quarterbacks allowing points. They're allowing about an average of 15 points per game, a little over 220 passing yards. But I think this is going to be a game that if the Saints are going to have any type of ability to score on the Rams, it's going to be through Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara. I think there's going to be some trick plays here and there, but Derek Carr just doesn't have the weapons around him. MVS has done okay filling in, right? But he's not obviously Chris Olave. Juwan Johnson has a couple, good catches here and there, but this is just a really tough matchup between the Rams and the Saints. Derek Carr is going to be on my bench. Now, as far as my sleepers this week, I've got Russell Wilson versus the Bengals. I know Russ has played pretty poorly, but the Bengals are actually a defense that have just absolutely struggled. They're just allowing too many points, too many passing yards. This is a game that I think Russell Wilson can kind of turn around, get you probably about 16 to 18 points this week. So again, a nice little sleeper. And then I have Bryce Young versus the Bucks. Bryce Young has actually played pretty well. He's really taken that benching earlier this season to heart. I think it did a lot for him, and actually in a positive way. I know it was not something people wanted to see. Sometimes it can crush somebody, but Bryce really took that as a way to kind of see it as a challenge, and he's done pretty well. I mean, he had an amazing game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that defense is actually pretty good. And they're playing against the Bucks, who have struggled. The Bucks are not a great defensive team. I know it's a rivalry game, so anything can go either way, but I do think, again, Bryce Young is a nice little sleeper. So those are my start, sits, and sleepers for week 13. Again, if you haven't already, check out my waiver wire video. And of course, check out all my other start and sit videos when those drop this week. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, enjoy your Thanksgiving, and I'll see you guys next time.